Welcome to a special series of This Week in Canton City Schools, where we'll focus on the mental health and wellness of our kids and families. I'm Jacqueline Power, the Broadcast Media Program Instructor here at the Timken Career Campus of McKinley High School, and your host today. The Canton City School District continues to partner with the Child and Adolescent Behavioral Health Agency. This agency provides a myriad of resources to the Stark County community and, most importantly, to our students within the Canton City School District. Each month, we will feature resources and strategies to help the mental well-being of our young people. On this episode, we are talking with Kim Cernansky, School-Based Program Manager of Child and Adolescent Behavioral Health, to discuss the many hats she wears and how she continues to work with the youth alongside with that important work she does with her staff and school support staffs. Sit tight, all of that starts right now. As we continue to look for ways to have a healthy, happy, balanced lifestyle, there is no greater need than to work with our mental health and wellness to meet the unique needs of our changing world around us. This series of shows with the Child and Adolescent Behavioral Health Agency will feature all kinds of different ways to address some of the common setbacks we face today. On today's episode, we have Kim Cernansky, School-Based Program Manager for CNA. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to kind of get into the nuts and bolts of all of this. But let's first start with, tell me a little bit about you, kind of your background, your career.
Okay, well, I grew up about 20 minutes east of Cleveland in a little suburb called Wickliffe. Graduated from Lake Catholic High School, then moved to Alliance and went to Mount Union, got my bachelor's there, and then got my master's from Case Western. Met my husband at Mount, and we decided to reside in Alliance. So I've been living there ever since.
So how did you first become affiliated with, so you make your transitions in your career, so kind of like where were your steps and how did they lead you to child and adolescent?
So, interesting story, which is kind of funny. My husband and I had gotten married in 2002, and I was going to get my name changed, and I got lost in downtown Canton, and I needed to find my way to the Social Security office to get my name changed, and I stumbled upon CNA, and someone was outside walking, and I asked for directions there, and then noticed the logo, and I said, I'm looking for a job, and they told me where to send my information to, and that's 20 years ago, and I'm here. I've been here ever since. So, yeah.
So luckily, downtown Canton is incredibly confusing.
Absolutely.
When you don't
live here. For a newcomer, yep.
I have worked for this school district. This will be the start of either my 18th or 19th year teaching, and I still, every once in a while, I have to pause for a second, and then, because you get asked all the time just walking down the street, so almost unfortunate but fortunate circumstances, how I guess the universe kind of says, okay.
Yep.
And
20 years, September. So
2 decades worth of work. So, which kind of maybe explains all the hats you wear then.
Exactly.
So on your website, I can see that or on the CNA website, you in particular kind of have all kinds of different roles that you do. So assistant clinical officer, clients' rights and coordinator, school-based program manager. So tell me how you balance all of those and kind of give me a little detail about what maybe each of those jobs entail.
I have a good team and a good support system, so that's how I'm able to manage all of it. But as far as assistant clinical officer, I've been in this role for about 2 years. I'm underneath Georgine Voros, who's our chief clinical officer. So I oversee our programs right now. I work really close with our prevention program. Sarah Hogue is our prevention program manager. You're going to meet her, I think, in a few months during one of your segments, and she'll tell you more about prevention, but assisting her with any needs and questions she has. And then, of course, school-based program manager falls under that. And then I supervise supervisors, which is a unique thing to be able to do because, they have all their supervisees and their caseloads, so being there for guidance and support for them.
Probably that communication person. It's almost maybe like a really complicated puzzle that all the moving pieces and parts, and in order for it to be seamless and well put together, somebody kind of has to have that bigger picture to make sure each of those pieces are fitting well together.
Right.
So you mentioned the client part, when we were talking right before we came in. So specifically talk to me about the role as a client rights officer. What specifically does that role entail?
Okay. And again, I've probably been in that role for about 2 years. we want to provide the best quality service that we can, and we do. But not everybody's happy with that. So I'm there to kind of mediate that with the families and listening to their concerns and being empathetic and validating what their concerns are and providing them with how are we going to problem solve this? How can we work through this to make sure you're getting the best quality service? So I am kind of that mediator between family and the provider and just trying to meet their needs and provide the best service.
You school-based providers have been in the schools for a number of years, which is newer information. Not that I didn't really know that, but it was kind of, because of my teaching experience, it's always been there. So I think, oh, okay, it's always been there, so it's always been there. But some of those things kind of change based on rules and regulations and districts that kind of restructure where that falls. But for our viewers that maybe aren't as familiar with this, kind of explain what a school-based provider role is in the school, kind of how it stands right now. Not that things don't change and districts make different decisions, but a general rule of thumb of what that individual
well, right now we are in 8 schools within Stark County. We contract with them through collaboration with Stark-Mar, our mental health board. We provide, we're known as the mental health experts. So we're there in the moment with these kiddos when they're struggling. We have consultation funds, like I said, through Stark-Mar, our mental health board, to provide those services to any kid within those 8 contracted schools that we're in. So if a kiddo is struggling with depression or anxiety or behavioral issues, we're there in the moment to intervene and provide support to them and guidance. And then we're there for the teachers, too, to provide them with strategies and interventions they can use in the classroom. And we're there during those crises, which we know kiddos are struggling with. So we provide crisis intervention. We, again, collaborate with mobile crisis, children's services to kind of, to help kiddos during those times that they're struggling.
So being that school-based provider for those 8 Stark County school districts, including Canton City Schools, what are some of the other districts you provide services for?
We're in Alliance.
Just so that we know across the county where we are and what we're doing.
Sure. We're in Alliance City and Marlington, Massillon, Plain Local, Tuslaw, Sandy Valley, and Lake.
So that's a wide reach, and I know through the work that we do kind of in the fall to get ready for May, we work through your agency and kind of we have like youth advocates that we choose from each of those districts, and it's really cool to kind of see all the districts come together from that bigger picture and our kids working together. For a common goal of mental health and wellness.
Absolutely.
So as you mentioned in your description of school-based providers, many viewers probably think of helping only the students. How does the school-based provider support the teachers' administrative staff? So you kind of alluded to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I could go a little bit into depth. We are there as the mental health experts, and our teachers and administrators see that in the schools that we are. So again, we can provide those strategies and interventions that teachers can use in the classroom, but we can also provide trainings and education to staff when they don't know what all entails with an anxiety disorder or depression or what a safety plan looks like. So we can provide more in-depth kind of education and training to the staff. So, yeah.
And I know from that high school teacher perspective and working at that level, obviously not quite as knowledgeable about the middle and elementary, but I feel like, based on the last couple years, we're finally talking about enriching the experiences for students, the whole child, as far as we can address and meet you where you are, and then arming educators and administrators with some of that information because we're with them every day, so many hours every day, and kind of figuring that out, which I feel like is, super in the pro column when it comes to where we're moving forward as a county and as a state. So obviously last 2 years have been challenging. It's not difficult for many students, or it's been difficult for many students and many teachers. And are you seeing an increase in the number of clients you're seeing? How are you managing that? And how are you meeting those challenges?
Absolutely. The needs are great amongst the community. Absolutely. Referrals have greatly increased at all of our school districts. We manage it as a team, and we're doing the best that we can to provide the best services. It is good to collaborate with other outside agencies. Most schools have family support specialists that we can rely on. We implement prevention programming in the schools to provide extra services and support. We have QMHSs, which again, I think you're going to learn more about in one of your other segments but they're there to provide support and service in the school and in the home to the community with the family. So we're trying to meet the needs the best we can with the needs. They're great needs, so. Yeah.
I'm sure there's never enough people
there's not,
or enough hours in the day.
Unfortunately, no, staffing is low as far as therapy providers in the schools. So we do really have to rely on our QMHSs and prevention programming to help us through.
Yeah. We use a lot of acronyms both in the medical field and education field. So tell someone that acronym stands for.
Which one? The
QMA.
QMHS?
Yes.
Is a qualified mental health specialist.
Okay. All right.
We used to call them case managers, but they really are more than that. They are qualified mental health specialists. Yeah.
Just making sure we all have the right terminology.
And you're going to do a segment on them, I think.
Yes. So we'll be very well versed.
Yeah.
So we are now in August. Classes are getting ready to resume soon for school session. What are some tips you can provide parents and grandparents watching today to prepare their students for the start of school? We'll start with the elementary and then we can kind of work our way up.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for all age levels is routine. And getting into that routine a good couple weeks before school starts. You know, not the night before. We're talking plan ahead, 2 weeks before to get back in that school routine. Bedtime routine, eating patterns, exercise, all those things, just being consistent and getting into that routine. For our little ones, the elementary, most of our school districts have open houses. I encourage families to attend those open houses so the kiddos can go see their classroom, meet their teacher, take a tour around the school if they're going to be new to it, just to relieve any of that anxiety, because for our little ones, that is a hard thing to go from summer and that unstructured time and being with their families to going back to school. For our older kids, you know, we know teens, so we know they like to stay up late. They're on video games or their phones, social media. They're out with their friends late. Maybe curfews are a little bit more lax in the summer. But again, getting them back in that routine to, okay, school's coming, expectations. You know, when school starts, what are your expectations? You need to be home at a certain time. There's homework. There's school activities that you might be a part of. And I think goal setting for them. What do they want to be a part of as they're moving into middle school and high school? Because there's so many clubs and activities you can be a part of, and we want to encourage that because that definitely helps their mental health to be a part of things in their school so they feel a part of that community.
Yeah, sense of belonging.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I feel like getting them back in that routine is really a struggle. It's tough to adjust from. I mean, even my 2-3 at home, that they are absolutely used to coming and going as they please. So that's that high school, middle school, high school.
Absolutely.
And it absolutely cannot happen the night before. Like, oh, by the way, tomorrow everybody's got to be up at 6 and out of the house and
so plan ahead.
Find the book bags, find your pencils, get everything organized.
Plan ahead. And sleep. I mean, sleep is so important for these kids. I mean, they need to get their sleep. They need to have exercise, eating healthy. Those are all just important things that they should always be doing. But more importantly, when we're getting started for school.
Yeah, I think of all the silly TikToks, the moms that talk about how much kids eat when they're home. That's absolutely true. Just cleaned out my pantry because I'm like, okay, all of the snacks, like we have to organize all of these things. So kind of getting them back into that routine of, okay, this is your school day. This is what you will be away from the house for this time. Like kind of get yourself back into that schedule because you've been out of it for a few months.
And when we're talking about kiddos' mental health, I mean, that plays a huge role into it. They, you know, they need that structure and that routine for their own mental health. And self-care is so important, making sure they're taking care of themselves for their mental health. So,
yeah, absolutely. So, last year, many teachers, especially at the younger levels, really noticed some behavioral issues with students, which I think kind of maybe ties into that routine. What are some tips for parents and teachers to try to work through these struggles? So I feel like as a high school teacher, it really is drawing them back into kind of the structure of school. I mean, they're used to basically having their phone in a hand 24/7, whether they're eating, driving. I mean, honest to goodness, it's like a connection, an extension of their hand. And I'm equally as guilty kind of having my phone, and you can just, so I know that's a personal struggle that I have as a high school teacher. So some of that lashing out and the behavioral things that you think, oh my gosh, we're back in school, guys.
Yeah.
Like, what are some of those tips and tricks you can kind of...
I definitely think setting those expectations. And again, looking at the little kids, maybe it's a behavior chart, you know, a sticker chart. little kids love rewards, whatever it is, tangible, non-tangible. So maybe implementing something like that to decrease those behavioral issues. Same with teens. I mean, teens will work for rewards,
Food.
So yeah, absolutely. So that's important. And again, for teachers, just that engagement piece and building that rapport and that relationship is really important as you're entering into the school year. Yeah.
So take some time for the relationship building,
Absolutely.
setting those expectations. So I know PBIS is a big part of kind of setting those, these are the norms, this is where we can have, some of that reward piece to encourage them to get back into the routine.
Right.
It is really tough. I know for my kids at home, it's tough.
And I think, we are in the schools. So for teachers and parents to know we are there. So reach out to our providers and we can provide those interventions in the classrooms and ideas to help them increase that engagement or decrease those behavioral things coming up.
So you're saying that there's lots of like resources, information for teachers, and we're talking beginning of the school year is really a tough time. So what other school-related or preventative services does CNA offer parents?
Yeah, so we do have, like I mentioned, our prevention program. Sarah Hogue is our program manager for that, and her team is fabulous. They are in a lot of the schools as well, and they provide group programming to these all age levels. We start at kindergarten and we go all the way through high school. So we work and collaborate with the school counselors in the buildings to identify those kids that need to be in those groups, but they're working on coping skills, self-esteem. So those are great other services that we offer in the school in addition to the therapists and our QMHSs. We also have our Gemini program, which is an AOD program. So when you get up into the middle school, high school level, that if there's some substance use concerns, you can reach out to our agency or to the provider in the building for more information on that.
So kind of meeting, again, it's that very specific meet the needs of each individual child, which is really, at the end of the day, that's what's great about the blend of education and the medical field, that really it's individualized care for each of our clients,
not
patients.
Cookie cutter.
Right. There's no, everybody fits in this box, and then this small group fits over here, so it really is individualized. So in addition to all the roles you hold in the agency, you also get to see clients.
I do.
So what about this could fall into the favorite part of the category?
Because gosh, I can't choose. They're all my favorite. I do love still being, I always call it boots on the ground because I'm still doing the work. I love working with kiddos. It's refreshing, you know what I mean, from all the administrative stuff that I do to be working with kiddos. And it just keeps me up to date with what's going on in the world. I mean, I have my own children, but to work with clients and just staying on top of my degree and my license, what I went to school for. So, it's fun. All my roles are fun.
And I kind of take that because, when you've got kind of an administrative role and you're really kind of working with a lot of adults and kind of moving pieces, and sometimes we forget the people part. So I feel like that part of the job, like you said, will help you stay connected to the real people that you serve.
So I do feel that way. I feel like my supervisees and the staff that I do oversee, I feel like respect that I am still doing the same job that they're doing. It's a good thing.
I feel like it blends well.
It does.
almost keeps you in check. I think in a lot of different roles, and whether it's the education field, like I said, or the talking the medical field, it's really important to stay connected to the purpose and the mission and the goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And serving those individuals and making them the best that they can be. So thank you so much. Did I skip over anything? I hope I didn't skip over anything.
No, we hit it all. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here. Look forward to the next time we can sit down and kind of dive in, and look forward to hearing more details from other staff members that can help us figure this all out. So for more information, you can visit the CNA website at www.childandadolescent.org. You can also give them a call at 330-433-6075. We appreciate Dan Mucci putting this together for us, helping us coordinate all of these great pieces that have gone together so far, and the upcoming episodes that you will see as a part of the rest of the series. As for the TV 11 staff, we will continue to bring you an inside look at the district each week during the regular school year, which we're in the midst of starting, and addition to this series on mental health and wellness. So if you're a staff member and would like to have a feature story on our regular, This Week in Canton City Schools television show, please email me at power_j@ccsdistrict.org or our station administrator, Bill Widener, at widener_b@ccsdistrict.org. We'd love to have you into the studio to showcase the valuable experiences the kids have here at the Canton City School District and all the supports we have in place to educate the whole child. We will see you next time.